Hello and welcome to Starlight Talks. I'm here with Raul, who's going to be hosting a workshop on self-love. I have all of that linked into the description. I'm so happy to be back. I had a really nice break that I needed from Starlight Talks, and now I'm back. And we'll try to be back every week at the same time, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, with new guests to talk about something autism related. Yeah. So as usual, check out OurTism.com for all of our great events, such as this workshop and other workshops coming up. We have such a great social program that just started, and we had two events that just happened. I went to the game night. That was so fun.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to do that again. And then we have bowling coming up. So go sign up for that. That's all on our calendar on the website, OurTism.com. Tomorrow we have our first morning coffee for parents and caregivers. So that's a nice supportive environment for the parents who have loved ones on the spectrum. So that's available to sign up for. And then as usual, we have the adult support group, and we have all our other wonderful programs such as Life Map that I highly recommend, in our mentor program, and we're starting our teen socials. So many cool things. Yep, and I'll repeat, Raul is hosting a workshop on self-love, so to sign up for that link is in the description. That's happening next week. Yeah, so Raul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hi. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Chloe, for having me here on your weekly show, Starlight Talks. It's really, really awesome that this exists for many people out there watching who might not normally have an opportunity to get to know the autism experience in their day-to-day life. So having a show like this, it's really, really wonderful. It's fantastic, and I'm happy to be here. So, so other than that, yeah. So about me, I, yeah, as Chloe briefly mentioned, I help run programs, both support groups and social events here at OurTism. Yeah, I recently became the director of social programs and life map coach with OurTism, and yeah, I just started doing that about 3 months ago. And so far, that's been a really, really wonderful experience for me. And and aside from that, I've also been helping to run the support groups for autism, like since early 2018. And it's just phenomenal to see the growth that group has shown, like within that time period. And aside from that, like I also consider myself a really strong advocate, a strong autism advocate, and I do what I can to inform others as to what autism really is from a first-hand perspective. I'm autistic myself, and like I'm just delighted. I'm really humbled whenever I get the opportunity to share my insights, be able to offer new perspectives as to what autism really is from the first hand perspective.
Yeah, I love that. That's like similar to what I'm trying to do, is get the perspective of autism out there from someone with autism rather than someone guessing what we're thinking and what we want and what we need.
Mhm.
And so I love having other people on the spectrum. And I keep hearing, like that if you meet someone with autism, you've met someone with autism, and that's true to an extent, but also we all have autism, and there's a lot of crossover that we all need very similar things, and that stuff isn't always available. And so getting stories out there about what struggles everyone with autism have is really helpful, so that you see, okay, everyone seems to need these certain things, so let's help create a world that meets those needs. And
Absolutely, yes.
yeah, so I love, there's a lot of crossover with mental health and with um, confidence and all those kind of things, because so I know a big reaction that happens when someone's diagnosed is, oh, there's something wrong, and we have to fix it, which can cause a lot of people with autism to have low confidence in themselves and not like that part of them. And it's a part you're gonna have for your whole life. And so that self-love and like finding a way to live with that part of you is really important. And so I'm glad you're doing a workshop on self-love, because I think that is a key to life.
Hmm. Oh yes.
Because I know one of the questions like parents ask me, oh, how do I prepare my child for the adult world? And they expect me to say things like, oh, um, my mom taught me how to do my laundry and all those kind of things. But normally what I say is like these life lessons of self-confidence and self-love and all those kind of things are way more important, because when you have that, then you're able to, go on YouTube and type in how to do laundry and then figure it out. Where when you don't have the confidence, you start from a place of, oh, I don't know how to do anything. And so
Hmm.
normally that's what I say, and it's really surprising to people when they hear that. They're like, oh, that's not what I want to hear. And I'm like, well, that's the advice I have, because out there is all the information right now is so available to help you with life, like online, and you can ask for help, and like self-advocating and figuring things out, problem solving, I think starts from a place of confidence.
Hmm.
um,
Absolutely, yes.
and
Hmm.
those skills, I think, are more important than knowing exactly how to do laundry or how to load the dishes, because those can be learned over
Hmm.
time. But self-confidence, starting with, um, I think, starting with your parents and having that built up, a foundation built up as a kid is super helpful. And it seems to be lacking a lot in the disability community and in the autism community, because we're so often taught not to appear autistic and not to have those tendencies. And so I see so much low confidence, and it makes me sad, because I have a love for autism, and I wish everyone did.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I'd love to hear about your workshop and um, what you think is so important about self-love.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, you touched on really, really important points, like just a short while ago, in that there's not much emphasis to teach people on the spectrum on how to like really love themselves, or how to find ways to believe in themselves. And yeah, it's definitely one of the reasons I think for that being is that yeah, there's been a historical tendency for society to view people with some sort of developmental difference or any other type of neurological difference like autism as hopeless or less than or just not smart. And because of that, yeah, that type of messaging tends to get ingrained into us to the point where it then affects our it can affect the autistic's self-esteem in a really, really negative way, and that they won't have the confidence to pursue the career. They won't have that confidence to make to try to make friends, or they won't have the confidence to ask out a boy or a girl out on a date. And yeah, at least for me personally, I feel like growing up, I didn't really feel like I had a really good understanding as to what it meant to love myself and what it meant to be someone on the autism spectrum. And because of that, that for me it led to me it led to me befriending unhealthy friendships where I would have friends that would like to get into trouble, like pulling pranks on other people, even though some of the pranks might have been mean. Or I would also I also would hang around with friends who would call me names. Bless you. And and then and yeah, and even though I didn't like deep down, I didn't like being treated that way. For me at the time, growing up, since friendship making was really hard for me growing
I'm back. Hello. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I'm here. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can see you now. All right. I don't know. I guess it
I was trying to
briefly.
pull up some of our comments and I disappeared somehow.
All right. Oh, cool. Yeah. So
I
as I
have
was.
them here. So Jennifer says, I totally understand what you are saying, as when people say autistics are not as smart. My son may be nonverbal, but I know him and know he is very intelligent and has problem-solving skills that many don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was selectively mute when I was younger because I have slow processing and couldn't keep up. And so when I did talk, it seemed like I was off topic. And then I had a lot of, problems interpreting what people said because I took things so literally. And so people would say like, "Oh, you didn't understand what I said. You misinterpreted. That's not what that word means." Blah blah blah. And so it reached a point where it felt like everything I said was wrong, and so it was easier not to talk. And so it was very nerve wracking to speak. And then when I did speak, I ended up having a stutter because it was so emotional. And and so like that really affected my mental health. And so that was with me for a long time. And when I have made videos since like middle school. When I go back and watch the videos of me stuttering and trying to talk, and it brings back all those emotions, and I can feel my stutter come back. And that time in my life was very difficult, where when I was able to stop caring about if I get things wrong and have that self-love for myself. It really made a huge difference in being able to explain, especially understanding like, oh, these are my struggles and these are so when I say, oh, you know what, I'm not going to understand if you don't say things literally or if you use sarcasm, that's helped me a lot to connect with people where I didn't know that those were my struggles, so I didn't know how to help myself. And so it seemed for me the best solution was to stop talking until I trusted someone and was in a comfortable environment. And so I had people I really trusted, and when I was just alone with them, I would not stop talking. But when I was like in a big group of people, or with people I didn't know, then I didn't really want to talk because I didn't want them to say something that would hurt my feelings. Because I was so used to that, and so having that self-love makes it easier to talk to strangers like I do now. I do a lot of networking, talking to people I don't know and making them feel comfortable to talk. I'm now that person. I never thought I would be there, but it makes it easier because it's like I don't care so much about if someone doesn't like what I'm saying, because I do. And it's really important to me that I get my message out there. And that's why I do these live streams, so that no one has to feel the way I did.
That's awesome. Yeah. I would say that self-love is definitely one of the, if not the most foundational feeling that an autistic person can have. Most definitely, yes. Because yeah, not only does it like have all these profound benefits, such as knowing who you are, like knowing what types of connections to make, whether it's friendships or dating. It ultimately, with self-love, with a strong sense of self-love, it makes you feel like you have a voice, and that voice matters. And at least that's definitely been my experience as I've really come to embrace self-love for myself, and as I continue to practice self-love for myself, so that I can live like the most empowered and the most positive life possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another question I get is like, how do I help my child make more friends? It's like, well, you have to be ready. If you're not in a healthy place to make friends, and you're going to bring in the wrong kind of people, and that will just make things worse. But when you're ready to make friends and in a healthy place and you love yourself, and you're going to bring in really healthy people, because it takes a lot of energy and work to making good friends. And so you want the right kind of people who give that energy back. So if you are putting out an unhealthy, unconfident, not liking yourself, and you pull in people who have kind of the same thing, and they don't have, that same kind of healthy way of dealing with things. And we're like, we have that fight or flight instinct. So when someone's unhealthy, they might want to tear someone else down to make themselves feel better, or they might, not be up to hanging out different days, and that might be interpreted as, oh, they don't actually want to hang out with me, when actually they just don't have the energy to. And it will just be warped into a very unhealthy kind of relationship. And So you have to want to make friends, and you have to be in a healthy place to make friends. And so starting in a place of self-love and then reaching out to people I think is really important. Having that confidence behind you and being able to handle rejection and to handle things in a healthy way.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely figuring out like what makes the person unique, what makes like what makes a person like really, really valuable. And yeah, and with one of the ways of practicing self-love for me personally is by doing like a self-reflection in a sense and figuring out what strengths a person might have and what they're good at, what uh what new perspectives that they or what kinds of perspectives they might have that other people might not normally have, and or what kinds of experiences a person has experienced that makes them feel like really, really valuable or makes them feel like a person that matters. And yeah, so it definitely takes like work to really cultivate that sense of self-love. And it also requires like a really strong and healthy support system that would help to foster that self-love to a person with an Asperger or autism profile. And but the more that one works at it, then that's where that individual will then slowly grow to understand who they are as a person, understand what their strengths might be, as well as understanding what sort of challenges they might have being someone on the spectrum. But yeah, but with the overall practice of self-love is what that entails is for a person to know who they are as a whole, as well as well as attracting the types of connections that they want to attract and being open with other people as to what their needs are or what their desires are so that they can then live the most productive life possible. And if rejections come up along the way, because rejections happen, they'll happen to everybody, then with a strong sense of self-love, like someone will not feel as hurt by that rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether it's like not being able to make a new friend or especially if meeting new people for the first time, or if one gets like rejected by their crush or something, having that strong foundation, self-love foundation can really, I'd say, can really help to counteract any of those rejections and can help to better deal with those types of situations.
Yeah, like when when you're in an unhealthy place, those rejections can really hurt, and it's like I really wanted to be friends with this person, and but when I come from a place of more confidence and self-love, it's like, well, that person doesn't like hanging out with me, and so why that's not a reflection on me. And if we tried to force that, it wouldn't be a fun or healthy relationship where you want someone who wants to hang out with you to hang out with you, right? It's a
Exactly.
much
Yeah.
better time. And not everyone's gonna like you. That's crazy to expect that. I mean, we all have people that just rub us the wrong way and we can't even figure out why.
Mhm.
They're just like certain quirks. We have our pet peeves that like aren't that big of a deal, but they just bother you enough that you're like, I don't want someone who makes these kind of jokes, or I don't want to hang out with someone who, you know, does these
Mhm.
whatever does these certain activities because I don't enjoy them. So whatever it is that you're looking for in a friend, that's important, and they're gonna have their own requirements. So when you find someone that matches up with you, it's just so much more fun than forcing something with someone who doesn't have that passion to hang out with you. Um,
Mhm.
so, like having my friends who have an excitement to see me have been way more fun than when I'm with someone who I just feel like um, doesn't really want to be there. Then it's not as a good as good of a time. And I know, like, being in school, like, you're forced to be around so many people, and people are, like, friends with each other out of convenience. And it's been so much nicer out of that environment where, like, I know the people I hang out with go out of their way to hang out with me, so I know that they want to be there, and we make time for each other, um, and that's been much more healthy than it was when I was in school. It's like, oh, we all just are with each other out of convenience, and then there's all the nasty stuff and the gossip and the
Right.
talking behind each other's back that happens on the school playground.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. It's definitely important to have like those connections, those friends that
Mhm.
get you, and that show a mutual reciprocity towards you. Yeah, because that's the only way for for connections, whether it's friendships or dating partners, for them to last a really, really long time. Yeah, and I can definitely relate to your experiences with like not making like the where I've made connections in the past where I've had friends who, yeah, where as I mentioned earlier, who would either like call me names. Some of them would disguise the name calling as jokes,
Oh
but
yeah.
eventually I realized that those jokes were actually meant to be serious. And then I've had other friends, former friends that would like to play mean pranks on others. And yeah, thankfully those are not my connections today, thankfully. But
Mhm.
back then, like growing up as a teen and just like coming from a place where I didn't really understand that self-love, it like I uh like I had that desire to want to be friends with others, and and I guess the desire came from like for me to not feel as alone or as lonely growing up in school. uh yeah, so those were some of my uh earlier experiences with uh with me, like just having a low self-esteem and not having a healthy sense of self-love. And yeah, it wasn't until I reached my adulthood years where I slowly discovered that term. I especially discovered this term or this concept, this feeling, when I did my master's in social work here at USC. Fight on for all Trojans out there. And yeah, because when I did my graduate program there, I did my master's in social work back in 2016. And one of the, yeah, one of the, and that's where I got to discover self-love because in that program, they I was taught that in order to be able to help others, because social work it's a really, really, really it's a really noble profession, but it can also take a lot out of a person to help others. So what I was taught there is that in order to help others, one also has to help themselves and one has to know themselves. And and as I learned that, I then found little ways to then practice self-love, and some specific practices that I did to help cultivate self-love was that I got to a point where I decided to practice gratitude more regularly. uh, Tell myself like positive affirmations like I am powerful, I am smart, I am a strong autistic. And I also picked up a regular meditation practice that also, and in meditation in of itself, that also helped to cultivate like thoughts that are a lot more healthier. And yeah, and even after finishing my graduate program in 2018, uh, like I really, like, one thing I'm really grateful for my graduate program is that I really got to begin like my really begin my self-love journey. And from there, that's how I slowly have been able to develop myself further as a person, make some really, really good friendships, as well as say no to people who might not be healthy, or say no to people who show disrespect, or people who are not who end up turning out to not be the best of friends. And so these skills, these abilities have been really, really, really phenomenal for me to adapt. And I'll say that it's a still can be a work in progress. And there can be days where sometimes I'm not as grateful in some days than others, especially when there's a lot of on days where I feel like there's a lot going on, or if I'm experiencing a hardship of some sorts. But in those times, I'm grateful that I have the ability to take a step back, ask for support when needed, and find ways to be back on track on a positive path. And yeah, that's the type of messaging that I also want to share with others. It's a message been that I've already begun to share with other self advocates as well. And yeah, and I'm always excited to talk about self love, Chloe. Yes, it's going to be it's a really important, of deep topic for me.
Yeah, I found that the doing things that inspire you and make you happy are important. That self-care part of things where like loving yourself means meeting your needs, and your needs could be, today I just need to goof around, or today I just need to sleep, or today I need to meditate. It's like listening to yourself and your body, and meeting your social needs or your emotional needs. And so when I have, days where I'm not quite feeling myself, I try to do things that make me happy, um, and that's okay. And I know as parents, um, it's like that mental health is so important, because I know I feed off of my parents so so quickly, and I can tell when they're stressed or when they're scared or when they're sad. And like kids feel that, especially as autistic people, we're like empaths with
Mhm.
those around us. And so you'll just have more patience when you have that self care and self love, and you're able to deal with things and not take things so personally. Where, like, I know when I was younger and was in a very bad place mentally, I would lash out at other people, and not because I was angry at them. I might have been angry at the world, but there's a physical thing that I could
Mhm.
take that emotion out of on. And so when kids say, I hate you, or like say really personal, mean things to their parents, um, it's it's easier not to take that personally when you come from a place
Uh-oh.
that,
Chloe? Oh.
loved one with autism has a meltdown or defense mode or whatever, they're not in a healthy place. You're able to calm them down and not melt down yourself.
Mhm.
Um, you froze. Yeah, you're back. Okay. So, and I know my mom, when she would like come home from the spa, or come home from vacation, or come home from, somewhere that made her happy, it, it was a much nicer environment than if she came from, a very stressful day of like something happened, and then we'd like both be taking it out on each other, and it turned into a conflict. Um,
Mm.
and so like that self love also involves caring for yourself, and that can be as simple as spending 5 minutes drinking some tea by yourself and just meeting that need, or it can be a whole day to yourself. I know that there's some uh, parents who have done this one day of the week is my day, um, or
Mhm.
there's those on the spectrum who are like, this is the day for video games, or um, meeting whatever that need is, um, having like,
Mhm.
that one piece of chocolate, or going for a walk in nature. There's so many ways to self-care, and I think that gets forgotten about, but that's really, really important to me, that self-love, um, it can be, um, just doing something that makes you happy can make such a world of difference for that.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because takes the when one takes the time to be present in their lives, and take a few minutes to be grateful for things that happen in their day-to-day life, whether it's having a cup of tea like you mentioned, or going out on a walk in nature. Yeah, yeah, sometimes I feel like people can take things for granted. People can take experiences for granted that that they would normally, yeah, that it's because every day that one is living is a new day for one to experience. and and yeah, for me, taking those moments here and there to like to do self reflections of how my day went. Yeah, what I typically like to do is I regularly take time during the night to recall of at least three things that I'm grateful for in each particular day. And for me, like doing that practice, it just helps to gain not only a better appreciation as to what I do have, but it also like cultivates happiness within me, and it also keeps my mind off of the things that I currently do not have, but I might want in the future. Yeah, because oftentimes, like what ends up happening is that people might have like desires of wanting this or that, whether it's a new car or a promotion at work, uh, and or more finances, and and if people are like focusing on those thoughts like very very frequently, then they then miss out on the things that they already have in their life. And since they're focusing on things that they currently don't have, then that can then create like a lot of stress, a lot of sadness or frustration as well. And yeah, I know I've experienced that kind of mentality myself prior to regularly practicing self-love. And so yeah, so gratitude is definitely a really really big one for me.
Yeah, staying positive and um, like when you come at things with, I feel like people come into things with like their thesis already decided, and when you're already like, you know what, today sucks, then you look for all the things in the day that suck. Where when you look
Hmm.
around and go, you know what, I'm going to focus on all the positive things, and you see all the positive things. Like, for example, I love yellow, and so I think the world has so much yellow in it because
Mm.
those are the things I notice, and it always makes me happy when I go, oh, there's a yellow flower, oh, there's a little yellow smiley face, or when I
Hmm.
see those kind of things. But for other people who aren't focused on that, I'm sure they don't see any yellow. Um,
Mm.
so when like one of the biggest examples I see is like um, when someone like on their birthday had a really great day for most of the day, and then something happens right at the end, like, oh, someone got into a fight. It's like, oh, I couldn't even have one day that was about me and that was perfect. Where what if you flip that and go, oh, only one thing went slightly wrong and we got through it and it was really great for the most part and it was a really great birthday. You just have to reframe things and really look at where the reality of the situation. And yes, there's gonna be days that do absolutely suck. That is true. But just um, make sure you're focusing on the right things, and that your focus is on things that are going to make you healthy rather than staying in such a negative space that makes you unhappy, because that's not doing self-love. That's hurting yourself when you don't need to.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about perception, and yeah, and yeah, it's and I also like learning from one thing that I want to throw in there is that it can also help to cultivate that self-love is that it can be really, really helpful to have people to look up to or to have mentors. And and yeah, for me, I'm also like grateful for like the mentors that I have in my life, and as well as the mentors that may not be in my life, but they have taught me invaluable lessons. Yeah, so for me, I have a few wonderful professors that I've had in grad school that have been really impactful to me. And then I also I also am I also have looked up to those in my others in my life that have done really, really great things. My mother being another another person who's had a a really deep impact on me. I read some of the comments here just now, and I read a comment somewhere saying that us to have really, really wonderful parents and or really supportive parents, and yeah, so I want to like share that. Yeah, that one. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I feel like parents cannot be really, really great role models and mentors to us. And yeah, and I like for me, definitely, my mom was more of a role model for me. I mean, I love my dad too, but my mom was really, really a big, a big rock for me growing up. Uh, I I wish she was still with me today, but she left. She left us 8 years ago due to illness. But I still like think of her very often, and yeah, and other mentors that I look up to is people that I might find on inspirational people that I might find on YouTube, whether they have a developmental difference or whether they're neurotypical. If their message is really, really strong, or if they share messages that I feel I can relate to, then yeah, I try to absorb as much good knowledge as possible, so it can then further help me in maintaining like a strong sense of self-love.
Yeah. So we have about 10 minutes left. So if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Please ask us questions or leave us comments. Um, and yeah, speaking of mentors, we do have mentor program I'm really excited about, and both Raul and I are available to be mentors to a mentee um, if anyone would be interested in signing up for that. Um, Yeah, I'm really excited for that program because I know mentors have always been really important to me. I signed up for mentor programs in college for and who helped and they helped me navigate, the new world of college and how to deal with different professors and homework and living on my own. I've definitely had mentors in the field of film that I can ask questions and go to with any issues I have, and so having that, I thought I would have loved to have someone older with autism who had been through the things that I was going through to talk to about those things and how to deal with it. And so that's something I would have loved when I was younger. And so I, I've been developing this program, and hopefully that it helps um, those younger than me or even older than me who haven't figured it out yet, who just need someone to talk to who can relate to that world of autism. You know what, I've been there, and this is how I dealt with it. And you can deal with it differently. Just someone who can, you know what, that sucks, or you know what, that's great, or all those kind of things. Just validate the autism world and have someone who understands that. So yeah, the mentor thing, I think it's really important to have people in your life who you can go to, um, who you can look up to, who can
Absolutely,
inspire
yes.
you.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, I forgot to mention that I too have done. I got the pleasure to participate in a few mentorship programs in my college or at my grad school as well. And yeah, the mentors that I've gotten, that I met there, and that are still with me, and that I still connect with, I'm in touch with today. They're really, really fantastic people. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that tidbit out there in case if anyone from my grad school years ever watches this. I don't want to like exclude anybody, but yeah, not just a mentorship program like you mentioned, Lillian. I'm sorry, Chloe is, yeah, that would be really, 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 it's really beneficial. Yeah, yeah, and I'm happy to mentor anybody that needs some mentoring.
Right. So
Yeah.
sign up for Raul's workshop. It's gonna be amazing.
Mhm.
um, it'll be a fantastic experience for those who come. I'm really excited about it. So that link is in the description. If you want more information, please feel free to ask us any questions about it. Either here on the live stream or you can email us. Yeah, it'll be a great workshop. I'm really excited about all this stuff we have in the future. So go check out OurTism.com for all of the great things we have coming up. All of our social stuff coming up. Uh, bowling, I think, is coming up soon. We have a team. Um, next Tuesday is the team pizza and
Yep.
game night. We just had the adult game night. That was so fun. So I'm
That it
excited
was.
to,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
any teens want to experience that. I I think that would be such a fun thing for teens to do. And then we have the coffee for parents and caretakers um, tomorrow. So sign up for that. Um, yeah, everything's on the website, OurTism.com. Oh, and come back next week for my live stream because I'm going to do these every week again. So come back next
Awesome.
Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the same time I started tonight. So if you live somewhere else, I think it's 10 p.m. on the East Coast. Um, I know I have viewers all over. So I think it's Thursday mornings in Australia or Europe.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
So yeah, so come back next week. I don't know who my guest will be, but I'm sure it'll be someone really great, or it'll just be me and we'll talk about something fun. Yeah. So thank you, Raul, for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Chloe. Yes, it's been a great pleasure being on here and being involved with OurTism. And yeah, I really look forward to continuing putting together really, really fun and beneficial events for OurTism. And I especially look forward to leading my workshop on self-love in a few weeks, 2 Sundays from now. Yeah, so I highly recommend for anybody watching to to come check out that workshop and learn some of the tools needed to help to get a self-love practice going.
All right. Thank you guys all for watching. Uh, and stay colorful. Bye.
All right, bye all.